it can't be correct. And this is why many people, like you are saying, every day he knows, every day we get problems. Some I escalate them to him, go DM, please intervene, this and that. And every time these come to us, they 90% of the time, then there's a proper follow-up, then there's a settlement, then everything. But if that person calls, they get told something else, simply because there's a lawyer in between. And I seem to not put my finger into what kind of an environment we are operating in that will treat a claim that comes through the chair of the committee as an inquiry, treated much better than the claim of a claimant who calls in to find the status of their case, yet they will not be told such. So that on operations has to be fixed. It really cannot be going on like that. The second thing, which I also asked with the board, these default judgments. The default judgments that are coming, there seems to be no system to track which court is sitting with how many cases of RAF per day. Sitting in your office, DM, if you were to come here and ask you how many cases are today of RAF in court, none of your staff members can give you that answer. And I seem to not understand why. You know, DM, there is a system in the SAPS. And the SAPS, when the dockets come from court, all of them are captured into the system. That system automatically gives you a tracker that then docket 1 is gonna go in 4 days back to court. Docket 2 will go to court in 3 days. Docket 4 will go next day. So on a daily basis, when you get into the office, you just simply go into the system and it gives you how many dockets will go to court in 2 days' time. And RAF fails to have such a simple system that seated there, you will know in South Africa how many cases are at court, and monthly you can, or even weekly, every Monday you get into your office, you can see them on the board that there's so many cases going, and ultimately they load the outcomes of each and every case. But that is not a draft. Then there's a default judgment because no one knows that we must send a lawyer. And then tied to that, there are dockets or claim files of RAF that are sitting with a panel of attorneys, which was dismissed more than 5 years ago. Still not back. Those are operational matters. How are we dealing with that, DM?
Mendes, I'm worried about your time. I'll allow you one more after this because, yeah. Okay.
Thank you. Honourable Mentor, let me start off on this question of retrospective application. I think I indicated in my response earlier on that I envisage a situation where we will have to run 2 parallel operations in this transition, because my outlook is that once the REPS bill becomes an act, it's going to have an effective date. And as crude as this might sound, it would mean that accidents that take place from that date, right? So we still have to navigate even the transitional period and arrangement of REF in its current form and what the scheme will bring. But it's well noted, and we will consider all the legal connotations and subsequent consequences that arrive with that. But in my mind, I envisage a situation that we will have to at some point run until they dovetail and then proceed. So we will look at the issue of the retrospective. Secondly, look, the law allows for you to lodge a claim yourself or through a lawyer. It's a choice that you have as a claimant. And then your claim will be processed as per how you choose to log it. I can tell you now that if you have chosen to engage a lawyer, we are legally bound to correspond and engage with you through your legal representative. That is the dichotomy of the situation. We do endeavor in correspondence that we receive and that you send, when we respond to claimants, to indicate to them the stage of their claim, and then if a payout has been made, we do indicate that on such a date we paid this amount, please therefore revert to your lawyer. So we empower you with that information. You know, and it comes in many constructs. For example, there is one matter which I'm currently dealing with, where a court directed that the funds be placed in a trust. And we are now, the claimant or the victim, let me put it that way, the victim is indicating that they are unable to access their funds. Now we're trying to navigate a lot of legal conundrum because of how the payout was constructed and where it has landed. So the whole point is, I put this out there as public education. Claimants are empowered to claim directly from RAF. They do not have to go through a lawyer, and it is a choice that they have to make. Lastly, obviously you raised the operational issues. We do note them. I think they are the purview of the board and the executives. But I can indicate on the issue around the court issues. That is why I made reference to the process we are driving with Deputy Minister Nel to, amongst others, foster a relationship with the courts to better manage the court role with RAF. So we're looking at court management systems. We are looking at mediation as part of the options. At a particular point, we even considered, just given the magnitude of the situation, a structure almost of a special tribunal on RAF matters with the status of a high court, to be able to help us adjudicate these matters well outside the clogged court role. So what I'm saying is that we are looking at a vast array of options to deal with this. But at an operational technical level, I think the suggestions you make, we will onward transmit to RAF to be able to see how best. But we are looking at it, and the task team is in place, an interdepartmental task team of DOT officials, RAF officials, and DOJ. And the next step now is to actually meet with the heads of courts in the respective jurisdiction, because the circumstances are also different. I think I must add that. For example, how Mpumalanga is handling its cases and how Gauteng is handling, it's very different. And there's elements of efficiency both ways that we can build into a broader structure. So we are actually looking at that, and we are awaiting on the judiciary now to give us a date as to when we can meet and present the various options. And I must say, they have issues they want to raise with us about how we are managing issues as well. And lastly, and I think this is a matter we have put to this committee, has been a matter that was raised and I believe should be looked at objectively, not by us, but I think by the committee, on the phenomenon of acting judges who come from law firms which have got RAF matters. That conflict of interest is something that, Chair, I put to you maybe as a committee to also consider, having met with the LPC, amongst others. And we will, of course, also raise broadly with the judiciary. Thank you.
Honorable Member, the DM has really eaten into your last question. We're on 25 minutes. So we'll come back to you. Honorable Atkinson.